Hello everybody, Jason F. Smith here with the Game Warrior, and today we're going to do a review of Lumen Fidei. Now if you know and you've been following along, I've been doing a series of time story expansions, okay, and this is the next one in the list. The last one we did was called Expedition Endurance, so go check out that video. So this is a non-spoiler review, non-spoiler, because these games are stories. Each one is a story, and so if I were to discuss it in depth, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a video where we talk about the actual contents of it, but not this one. Okay, so this one, you go back into 1419, so there'll be some small little spoilers, and you go back to a time in like the medieval times when the Christians, it's in the Spanish Iberian Peninsula or somewhere down in there, when the Christians and the Moors or the Muslims are at war, and there's a mystery that's going on in that area. So that's the setting, okay? And the first thing I'd like to talk about is, you know, the artwork. So I'm going to try to, some non-spoiler artwork here. It's kind of tough to do, but let me see if I can do it kind of like this. I'm not going to show you the cards that are with it. So that's the artwork. See that? Okay, so I did a non-spoiler shot of the artwork in the cards. It seemed like in the older versions there's been better artwork, like they were painted, and I hadn't really thought about it because I'm just so into the game that I really don't care too much about the artwork as much, but I started to think about it, and in this one and lately kind of think the art is going down. I think of the art from the very first one as the best, the Asylum one, and it just seems to slowly be degrading. It might be style. It might be this is the style they want. It might be that they're getting, you know, cheaper artists. I don't know. I don't know for sure. But you see the difference here. See, that's Bob from, and that's the kind of it's a more painted artwork. Do you see that? This is the same artwork from the first set, and then it goes into, you know, the artworks I showed there to you, you know. Let's see if we can do one, right? It's okay, it's more cartoony, okay? So this one, theme, I really liked the theme. I liked going back in time and exploring this space. I also liked the way they handled Muslim and Christians. I did worry a little bit. I was like, okay, this is, you know, sensitive times. Can they handle this? Can they not be, you know, like babies about it? Can they show what was really going on? I think they did a really good job of that. You know, the Christians were not holy and good, and neither were the Muslims. I mean, they were both kind of shown in their time. That being said, they didn't really focus too much on it. They didn't make either one a good or a bad guy. They had a different story to tell. So let's go to that story. To me, this story felt less choicey. Like, where do we go? There just didn't seem to be that sense of, here's your map, here's 5 locations, where do you want to go? It just seemed more of a rail, okay? And it felt that way. The story was cool. The rail was okay. It was a cool story to be on. It just felt less choicey. It's just the way it was. The next piece was that we had characters, and sometimes the characters are really cool, and sometimes they're just so-so. And in this case, they were just so-so to me. I wasn't really taken by the characters. The puzzles. This had one of those like big mega puzzles, and I thought, and we solved it. You know, I've complained a lot about the puzzle in the very first episode, the box set, the Asylum, and I don't think I've ever been honest with everyone, which was that we never could solve it. We just did not solve it. We ended it, the game as a false. We tried it many, many times, hours, like we just quit, and we had to look up on the internet. And so obviously that's gonna weigh into why I didn't like the damn thing, right? And I thought it was a cheat. You know, this one had somewhat of the same cheat things to it. And I can't tell you what those cheat things were because we're in a non-spoiler. If you've played it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I solved it. So it's fun. So, you know, you solve it, it's kind of cool. In fact, when it hit, and I just, you know, I leaped out of the table and did a dance. Boom! So when you solve the puzzle, when you can overcome it, it's great. When you fail and it makes you look stupid, and not as fun. So there's a big puzzle in it, and then we went towards this ending. And then let me talk about the final piece of Lumen, which is that they offer a true choice in the game. So I was talking about the rail earlier. Well, actually they lay out a choice, left or right. You know, not right or wrong, but left or right. And it looks like this choice is going to influence all future events in the Time Stories campaign. So I don't know how, and I'm not really sure if that's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but this one really let you make a choice. And it was pretty cool. Like, that was really cool. Finally, though, I will say that their execution of that choice was one of the largest single failures I've ever seen. Because it's a choice, there's cards you don't look at, and then there's cards you do, and there's a QR code, which is that little square that you put your phone over, and it reads it and it takes you to a website. And then reading that will give you an in-depth of information, okay? So first of all, the QR codes didn't work. They fucked up. I'm astounded beyond belief that they couldn't get that right. Stunned. You know, so I went onto Board Game Geek, found a thread, QR codes were wrong. Someone had figured it out, talked to the publisher, got the right ones, you could click on them. Unexcusable. Absolutely unexcusable. You can't screw that up. You just can't. You can't do it. There was an error on one of the cards. There was errata. So if you played it in a certain way, you were going to get stuck. We did not get stuck on that, but I found out afterwards. So that's just inexcusable as well. Inexcusable. That you could sit there and be playing and go, we don't know what to do. Finally look it up. Oh, there's errata on a card. You have to add this line to the card. That's just not acceptable. Third, the writing. The writing on when we hit the QR code, we finally got to the right webpage, and I read it. It was so confusing. The grammar, the story, it was like they just shit that over to the intern or to the intern's kid. Really bad writing. And, you know, I like to say that face to face to someone. Like, if I meet him, I'll say, like you got to do better. You got to do better with that writing. It was confusing. The grammar was horrible. You got to do better. So the whole story was pretty fun. And I love solving the puzzle. But the ending, for me, on two levels, the actual story ending, once we got past that puzzle, I wish it had just ended because I was triumphant. And it went another step. And it was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And I didn't like the ending. There was a lot of combat on one side, which we avoided thinking we were smart. Kind of a minor spoiler. And we were to a degree. And it just kind of went thump, right? And then the QR code didn't work. We went and found it. We finally got that fixed, read it, and was like someone, I think these guys are French, and maybe they had someone just flat translate it over. If that was the issue, terrible translation. It didn't work. Fix it. It's just starting to worry me. That's it. That's a quality drop. That someone's just kind of shitting stories out instead of paying attention. Now, having said that, the whole go back in time, they obviously researched it. Whoever wrote it did a lot, tried to tell a story. But again, it was kind of a linear rail story. And all of these are linear rails. Let's just be totally honest. They're all. But you have to give the illusion that they're not to the players. So you have to give the illusions of these choices and let them go and choice and figure it out. right? But there is only one path, obviously, right? Until they got to the end and it split. So I had a lot of fun. I just say that over and over again with this story. I just have fun. We have a group, we sit down and we get excited, and it's very cooperative, and we talk about it, and we played it like on a Saturday night and got to the puzzle. I went to bed thinking about the puzzle. I woke up early in the morning, the group gathered, we finished the puzzle. We just had so much fun. It just facilitates this great thinking, cooperative family thing. We all get together, we talk about it. It's just a game that I love. I love it. I'm used to its mechanics. They always introduce new wrinkles to the mechanics each time. It's always fun to see what that is and to kind of just settle in on the story. We're getting better at it. It's just a fun game. It's providing hours and hours of entertainment. I think this was either $30 or to 20 on Amazon, and just a joy, just a fun experience. Like it took us, 6 hours, maybe 8, and the whole thing, and it was certainly worth, let's say, $30 for the 4 of us to have that experience. Having said that, this is the Game Warrior, and we got to call it the way it is. And this one seemed to slip in some areas. There were quality control issues. The art didn't seem as good. The story seemed a little linear. The characters weren't as rich, and so we're going to call those things out here. But I still love the overall game. I love getting together. I love that there's more of a campaign feel. In the beginning ones, there's just this little, this is the story. This is the time. This is the time. Now, it's starting to build a bigger Ubu story. And that part is really getting exciting. But the way they failed with those QR codes leads me to not trust them that the story is going to continue to develop correctly and be amazing. So I got my doubts. They put doubt in me. They shouldn't have done that. They needed a better editor, controller, leader on top of the whole thing who was like, no, we don't publish this until it's fixed and ready. Like this should not have gone out the door. Like the new way, computer games are just shit out the door, and then you go, yeah, you're gonna wait for 6 months for the beta patch, right? Well, I don't know. I don't know if maybe this went out a little too early. Okay, everybody, and those QR codes are probably the last thing that they put into the game, right? So the play testers tested the mechanics of the whole thing and probably got that right. Tried to smooth that, but never got those codes, and those are the last things they put in. Still, you cannot make that mistake. Okay, everybody, that's my review. Probably my least favorite so far, and yet I'm honestly telling you, I still had such a great time. So I hope Time Stories, this is just a dip. I hope it goes back up for the next one, and I will see you after we do the next review.